Well, here we are. It's time to put this spot lock in, this new Minn Kota Terrova. And I wanted to show you kind of where we're at with the disassembly of the Minn Kota Edge. So you can see from what we have here, I had to take the console off up front. The Garmin Eco Map had to come off. And then I want you to look at this. So this is what you have here from an access point, is this little hole. And there are, or were, 6 bolts holding this trolling motor in place. So I had to go in and take out the horn assembly and the light assembly, just so I could get my arm into that hole. But those bolts are so far back. Look at this, all the way up as far as at the front of the boat. You can see right there. And then we had a couple over here. Those were just tapped into this aluminum here, so there were no nuts, but the others back here had nuts. So I had to kind of come up with something. So this is what I come up with. This actually was a handy little tool. Just run that under here and just by hand just feel where that bolt was with that nut, and it did a pretty good job. So I was able to use a screwdriver and then use this to hold. So I think what I'm going to do is when I put the new one on, I'll just put a piece of tape on the bottom, put the new bolt or the nut right here, and then just try to do the same thing in reverse and see if that works. So, but I'll show you that once we get into it. So this thing is ready to come off now. Everything's been taken apart. You can see now to just lift right off the boat, and I'll get that put away, kind of get cleaned up a little bit, and then clean up the boat some, and then I'll pull out the new Terrova, get it out of the box, and we'll get started on it. So I'll give you an update on how we're doing with that. Hey, so I want to give you an update where I am with the install of the Terrova. Well, I got the edge off late yesterday, and I didn't start on this till about an hour and a half ago. And believe me, it took the whole hour and a half to do it. So, you know, I lined it up, tried to place it. I placed it in 3 or 4 different places just to see where I could get the best idea of where I wanted to put it. And I ended up with this placement here. You know, number one, here's where the edge was here. There's a hole, there's a hole. You can see the holes as we go through here. So got a putty, well I did, I put some silicone in there, got to go back and clean that up a little bit. Used the marine grade silicone for that. So, but anyway, it's screwed down, bolted down now. And you can see on this side, I got 2 here. I've already put the cover on the other side, but there's 3 in this one. And luckily on this one, all 3 went into the thick part of the aluminum. So I used self-tapping screws there for that. And this side was a booger. Had to reach up under there, and I showed you the hole in there in the other video of all you had to work with. So this little tool that I made come in handy. PVC pipe with just a size 11 boxed in wrench put on there, so I used that. But something that was really handy was the deep socket, size 11 on a small little breaker bar. So that come in handy as well. I will tell you, if you probably will want to get that deep socket though. By the time that little nut gets all the way up that bolt, a regular size socket won't work. So anyway, a number 11, that's what size it is. It comes with the package. So you can see kind of my placement for the trolling motor. And keep in mind, you got to be 1.5 inches from this point right here to where the shaft comes down. So make sure you get that. but it's coming together pretty good, you know, at this point, and it is it's not going anywhere, that's for sure. So the bolt's held pretty good. And again, got a mess of wires. That's what I'll be tackling next, is getting all the wires run. I have decided that I'm going to use my transducer from the Garmin 93 SV. I'm not going to use the one that's built in because I want more than just sonar. So you see it there. So I'll be hooking up the 93, and then again, thank you, YouTube. There's been several people post how to put a transducer on a Minn Kota Terrova spot lock. I've got an idea, so once I get this wired up, get everything set up, then I get to that point, I'll video that too, just to kind of show you guys what I come up with. But there we are at this point, so I'll give you another update as I move on. Now that the trolling motor's mounted, it's time to run the wires. So I was thinking about how I was going to do this, and we have the foot pedal wire, we have the wire that is for the built-in transducer that I'm not going to use, so I got to tuck it away, and then this one is the power cable. So I could just run it along and tuck it under the console, but I don't want those wires showing. So what I'm going to do is, I have this 1-inch grommet that I purchased through Amazon. They come in a kit. There's several sizes. And what I'm going to do is, this was a hole from the old trolling motor. There's one here and one here. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill that out, and I'm going to put this grommet right there, and then I should be able to take these wires and run through that grommet into under the boat on the deck, and that will tuck that'll tuck the wires away. So in order to do that, I'm going to use this, and I put some tape around it to show I don't need to go any deeper than, or any bigger than 1 inch. So I put tape there to tell me when to stop. So, you know, wish me luck. I'm gonna drill a big old hole in the boat. By the way, don't forget to charge the battery to your drill. Okay, it seemed to work out okay once the battery charged on the daggone drill, but seemed to work out okay. Just so you know, those of you who have a tracker, there is plywood right under this piece of metal. So the hole went okay, and then I went ahead and used a 1-inch wood bit, and went ahead and cleaned the hole out all the way through. So the hole's there. Again, you know, it went where one of the existing holes were for the mounting bracket on the old trolling motor. So, you know, I guess it served its purpose again. So now what I'm going to attempt to do is take this grommet. You can see it's got the groove there. You know, there is no hole, and the reason there's no hole is because these are supposed to be some kind of waterproof kind. So you make your own little cut in there to fit through all of your wiring, and then it's supposed to kind of hold on to it. And I guess I'll probably put some marine silicone around it too. One thing I forgot to add, and hopefully that one grommet will hold these three, and I think it will, but the one thing I forgot was there is one extra wire, and that's the daggone transducer wire that I got to get under there somehow, because I don't want it hanging out here either. So I'll worry about that, figure that out when I put the transducer on. But here we are now, so I'm going to go ahead and put this grommet in, and then we'll shoot again here in a second. Well, so there we go. That grommet worked pretty well. Got the hole drilled. You know, just make sure you put your wires in first into that grommet before you put it into the hole you drilled, because all that's never going to fit in that hole. And so it cleaned up pretty well. I may go back and put a zip tie maybe here, I don't know. But I will tell you, I am, with my transducer wire, I am going to have to drill another hole to get that routed, because it just simply won't fit with these other wires. So, but that piece is done. Now it's time to start hooking up some power to this thing. Okay, so here we go. Once again, got all the wires ran here. Got it through the grommet. I think that's going to work out pretty good. So all the wires now are ran under the platform, and there is the transducer cable that's connected to the trolling motor that I'm not using. And wound up there is all of the extra foot pedal cable that I'm not going to be using. So zip tied those, got them put away. Of course, you know, when I'm done, I'll do a little better job with these wires. But here's the next thing. So here we go. Here's power. And you know, I'm not going to run this thing all the way back to the back of the boat and hook up to the battery. So here's what I'm going to do. So I went to the old trolling motor, and I'm going to use this. So yes, I cut it off. I cut it off of the other trolling motor. So whether I sell it or give it away, somebody's going to be short this much cable, and they're going to have to put another adapter or plug on it. But I thought this would be the easiest way to do this. So all I'll do is I'll cut these off, and I've already got the connectors onto here, and then you see I have the heat wrap here. So anything that I've done to this boat, I've always put the protective heat wrap over any of the connections. So that's the next job. Cut these off, hook it up, and you know, after that, I'll be able to plug in. I should have power. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so don't have the boat put back together yet, but as you can see, you got the connection made and plugged in, and got all the extra wire ran under there. Got it heat wrapped and electrical taped, just in case. So let's see what happens. So everything's good. Let's hit the power button, and we have power. All right, that's a good thing. So before I get into all the other stuff, let's continue. Got to get the transducer and get it routed, and then try to put this thing back together. Let me go ahead and turn this off. Get all this put back together, and you know, hopefully we'll be done with this thing soon. Okay, here we go. So it's back together. I still got to position the foot pedal, and I'm going to screw it down. So I'm not sure where I'm going to put it yet, but got it cleaned up, got the wires put away, got the old Garmin hooked back up. You can see the power connection here. Worked out pretty well. Then you see how I routed the power wires and the transducer there. And then, so I went ahead, all that mess is a transducer. So I know I'm gonna hook it up to this thing, but I wanted, while I had all the tools out, I wanted to go ahead and get that thing ready and route it. So you can see it's already hooked up back here, and it's running under this platform under here, and then it's coming out. So I did the same thing with the grommet. I love those things, they're cheap. But anyway, so that's where the transducer wire is coming up. And then I'm going to do the same thing that most everyone has done with the transducer wire. And I'm thinking I'm going to put an eye bolt here. Again, that's where another hole was for the old trolling motor. So I was able to use, I'm going to use that hole. I was able to use that hole. I was able to use the hole over there I showed in the earlier in this video. So there's really only one hole left that's exposed. So anyway, I'm going to put a small, I think, eye hook or bolt here, and then I'm going to connect that what do you call it, that hook, that cantilever, I think is what you call it. Hook it there, and then I'll do the bicycle cable that everyone's been doing. But since I know I'm going to do that, of course I'll connect it to the transducer. But since I knew I was going to do that, like I said, I had all the tools out. I went ahead, drilled the hole, run it through the piece of rubber there. So I'm ready to go with the transducer as soon as I get time to do it. And this is what it looks like, ready to go. And again, all the wires tucked away. And yes, this actually works fine for the release. And then again, the bolt put back together. And one last time, boom, we have power. So 2 things left: transducer, and then I've got to mount the puck. And I'm open for suggestions. So do I need to put it here? Or do I need to go up the boat? There's all the toolbox. Can I put it there? And that's where the other garment is. So of course, once it swings out, it won't be too much in the way. That's not level, so I don't think I'll be able to put it there, from what I understand. So I'm open if anyone has any suggestions on the good placement. I'm thinking at this point, it's going to go right there. So anyway, that's it. Once I get the puck situated, I'll get that put on, and then I'm going to run the transducer. And I'll get this boat out of the garage and out in the driveway, and I'll do one last run through just to show it completed. So again, appreciate everybody watching. And again, let me just say this. You know, the reason I shot this is because when, like everybody else, when you start to do something, you know, in today's world, you go to YouTube and you try to find a way to do it. What's somebody else done? What's a good way? What's an easy way? What's the best way? So hopefully this video will help some others out there that would like to put a Terrova on, whether it's on a tracker like mine or whether it's on any other boat. Hopefully this will help. If it helps at least one person, then it was worth my time to shoot this video. As always, appreciate you watching. You know, hit those buttons if you don't mind. And then lastly, you know, take a kid fishing. They really enjoy going.